They are not cuddly, they do not have big soulful eyes. Crocodiles are one of the most dangerous and aggressive animals in the world. They are completely unpredictable, and the scariest fact is that they will eat you and enjoy it. They are considered to be more advanced than other reptiles mentally and socially as well as physically. Crocodiles attack hundreds and thousands of people every single year. Their aggressive actions seem to be deliberate and intentional. This is the case study of the Crocodile Man, or Charles Decker. The Crocodile Man, not Steve Irwin, but Charles Decker's story, started after he picked up two teenage girls hitchhiking. He rode around aimlessly with them, and then they drank beer together. But suddenly he started smashing the girls' skulls in with a stonemason's hammer. The girls somehow survived after he dropped them off on a nearby house's doorstep. Charles later called his dad aghast and said, "Daddy, I don't know what happened. I just went ape." Charles's dad was an endocrinologist and a longtime friend of Dr. Mark Altschul, a specialist in the biochemistry of mental disease and former chief medical officer of Ritzie McLean Hospital near Boston. Altschul had treated Charles previously because of his history of violence. From the wild, out-of-nowhere nature of the attack, Altschul suspected a problem in the limbic system and Korsakoff syndrome. These diagnoses suggested a limbic lesion and alcohol metabolism abnormality.
After a chemical analysis was taken, it showed a definite alcohol metabolism abnormality. So when Charles drank, an unknown toxic substance was released into his bloodstream, damaging his brain and sometimes causing violence. Charles was said to have a limbic system problem. The limbic lobe forms the inner surface of each cerebral hemisphere and makes a ring of interconnected structures around this brainstem. Most individuals have a limbic system that consists of the inner fifth of the brain. The limbic system is dominated in humans by the highly developed cortical system. Unlike humans, however, crocodiles' brains consist mostly of the limbic system, which means they're highly volatile. Charles Decker's brain was considered more similar to the crocodile's due to a limbic lesion. This limbic lesion stimulated his aggression. It is known that damage to various areas of the limbic system disturbs many behaviors related to motivation and emotion. The limbic system includes the hippocampus and amygdala located next to the lateral ventricle and the temporal lobe. The system also includes parts of the hypothalamus. The first and simplest form of the limbic system appears to coincide with the development of emotional responses. The hippocampus and parts of the limbic system are also involved in learning and memory. The amygdala and some regions of the limbic cortex are specifically involved in emotion, feelings, and expressions of emotions. It's also involved in emotional memories and recognition of the signs of emotions in other people. Because the limbic system sets the level of arousal and is involved in responses to emotional stimuli, a limbic lesion would impair these functions. The limbic lesion would have also impaired his memory of the event that occurred when he hit the two hitchhikers.
Charles Decker was diagnosed with Korsakoff syndrome. Korsakoff syndrome is a chronic memory disorder. The brain damage from the disorder causes anterograde amnesia. Korsakoff syndrome is neither hereditary nor contagious, but it is caused by environmental factors, usually but not always involving chronic consumption of alcohol. The disorder actually results from a thiamine vitamin B1 deficiency that can be caused by alcohol abuse. Due to the excessive amounts of calories people who abuse alcohol intake, they usually have very poor diets and are not receiving the accurate amount of vitamins that they need, so their vitamin intake is always low. Vitamin B1 deficiency is one of the worst deficiencies because it causes nerve problems, fatigue, and difficulty thinking. This occurs due to a lack of red blood cells, which means that the body does not get enough oxygen, also meaning the brain doesn't get enough oxygen. Alcohol interferes with intestinal absorption of thiamine, and thiamine is essential for metabolism. So it's the carboxylation of pyruvate and helps break down carbohydrates, fats, and amino acids. So when there is no thiamine, and there's a sudden availability of glucose to the cells of the brain, without that thiamine, it damages the mammillary bodies of the brain.
Charles's story became a major criminal case. The verdict was he was guilty of attempted murder, had a suspended sentence, and fight probation restrictions, including no drinking. Was this the right verdict? Did Charles know the consequences of his drinking due to the history of violence? Or was he not responsible for the unexpected consequences? This is a case study looking into the history of the insanity defense, as well as biopsychiatry and psychosurgery. Should Charles have been convicted of more? Was this the right verdict? What do you think?